Thank you very much, Madam Chairman. Coming between historians and the real author, I'm just limiting myself to a few words of my impressions and my associations with the book. Dr. Posukai, Dr. M.K. Rajkumar, and Dr. Lim Hock Siew were the iconic figures of the University Socialist Club, of which I'm proud to say I'm a member, just as our friend Vietnam is also a member. So many other friends also members of the Socialist Club. His contribution to the Socialist Club, his activities in the Students' Union are all well known. Many years later, people like Tan Jin Hui and myself, O K U, Tek Nam, and a whole lot of other people participate in the Socialist Club and try to make a difference in student union politics. But Dr. Poh and his friends went further than that. They were also very active on a pan-Malayan scale. They had the Pan-Malayan Students' Federation, which had students from Malaya. Maybe because of that, maybe because of the following that group had, in subsequent years we found it very difficult to have student organizations on a national basis. We never had the National Union of Singapore Students. There's always a pro-tem committee. But the markings of great people were already laid out. I don't have to say contributions of M.K. Rajakumar and Lim Hock Siew. Dr. Posukai is here with you. The other two gentlemen are not with us. Now, I'd like to say a few words about this book launch. Dr. Poh has been in politics for almost 70 or 60 years, involved in witnessing the struggles of people, not only in Singapore, but also in India to begin with, where he spent a few years as a young man, a young child. He has now taken great pains to record events of political developments. There are indeed far too few histories of that particular period written from a non-establishment point of view. All history is accepted history, you learn in schools and so on. But Dr. Poh made the important contribution, helped by people like Dr. P.J. Tham, to go back to the colonial heartland, as it were, and to see what the thinking, how the directions were made in those days. And you have that book now. There are copious references made to the decisions made by the British government and the colonial civil servants in Singapore. It's interesting reading. So Singapore politicians, on the one hand, said they were anti-repression, anti-detention, all for liberty and so on and so forth. But behind this facade, there were deals cut. What must be done to cripple the left wing? Detain, repress. Now, there will be accusations that we are trying to rewrite history. History is written by victors. They provide you with the authorized version of events. But let me just go back very briefly to some historians like Herodotus, Thucydides. Thucydides was involved in the Peloponnesian Wars. He wrote about the wars between Athens and Sparta and so on. I'm sure you know that. Then you know Xin Qian, the Sima Qian, Chinese historian, who wrote really for the royalty, learned from previous mistakes, and go on. And then you had a very great Arab historian, called Ibn Khaldun. What do the ordinary authorized historians write? If I may just quote Rousseau, Rousseau has said that the rulers will tolerate, rulers, or meaning the establishment, pro-government forces, will tolerate only those intellectuals who are happy merely to adorn our chains with flowers. They are limited, but they have to adorn it. No pro-establishment historian will come out and say things which are not acceptable to the government of the day. So does that mean we don't seek far and wide? For this, if you like, there is an author called E.H. Carr. He wrote a classical book on what is history. He says the facts of history are not out there like a fish on a fishmonger's slab for the history student to select. They are more like fish in a vast ocean, and depending on where he wishes to fish, he will find the relevant facts. So here you are, for the first time I think, in Singapore, an approach has been made to go to the stories behind the history. Why did certain things happen? Why was there the split? Who were the people behind it? What were the long-term deals? That is well recounted in Dr. Po's book. Coming back to trawling of historical facts, Dr. Po has trawled not only local documents, but also documents from the Colonial Office of the British National Archives. If I may paraphrase Dr. P.J. Thum, he has trawled a vast ocean and has produced a bottle full of wine, a glass full of bottle full of wine or champagne, if you like, for us to savor. Let students of political science and history decant, dispute, and discuss this book very thoroughly. Dispute with the facts, go back, and I'm sure, since it's all so well documented with the help of Lisa, who has been a tower of strength behind the research, all these discussions can take place. One other point I would like to say, to impart is, we must dare to know. Dare to know the facts. Sometimes the facts may not be acceptable. You must dare to know the facts. And in Singapore, before you study Singapore history, I would urge you to try and understand our good friend Niccolo Machiavelli. He's a very good chap. He gave lots of thoughts and ideas, and I'm sure he'll be proud. Singapore has done Machiavelli proud. Some of his primers, for those of you who want to know, he says this: everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are. So lift the veil and you may see the man. Go behind the man's thinking. Go look for what is between his ears. Number 2, if an injury has to be done to a man or a political opponent, it should be so severe that vengeance need not be feared. In other words, if you have to repress, do it badly, do it thoroughly. If you have to detain, do it well. And if you have to sue people, go for defamation suits. Another parable, if I may say, never attempt to win by force what can be won by deception. So try and deceive people. You can deceive some people, sometimes, as you say, and not all the people, all the time. And of course, the most characteristic one is, and what we in Singapore may have applied and taken to heart, he says, it is much safer to be feared than to be loved. That is the most important rule of Machiavelli that we should really study. It's much safer to be feared than to be loved. So if you have opponents, see to it that they fear you. They don't have to love you. And sometimes it is said, if nobody is afraid of me, I'm meaningless. Right. Now, for whom is this book? I'm in my 70s, Dr. Paul is 80s. This book is for your children and your grandchildren. Because this book is not going to be taught in schools. This book is like wine. Keep it, savor it once in a while. Refer to it, cross-check, dispute, discuss. That is why this book is something which you have to preserve for a long time. Please buy it, not only for your children, but also for children younger than that. Now, if I may say this, we are greatly indebted to people like Lisa Hong and her colleagues and Function A, the feisty, courageous people of Function 8 who have helped to bring this book to daylight. And of course, we get a wider circulation because of efforts like my good friend and comrade, Joethy now. Thank you very much.